Hey guys, welcome back to Play Retro. If you're new here, my name is Javi, and in today's video, I want to revisit this. This is Anbernic's RG40XXH, and to me, it stands out above the rest as probably the best way to play retro games in 2025. And now let me tell you why. So I own a lot of handhelds, and I played with a lot of handhelds. And when I mean a lot of handhelds, I mean a lot of handhelds. Here, let me show you. Now here's just a small sample of my current handheld collection. And as you can see, this table is just absolutely overflowing with handhelds. Like I'm literally running out of space. There's Miyus, Pow Kitties, Trim UIs, all sorts of stuff here. And this isn't even my complete collection. There's more handhelds on my shelf. There's more handhelds packed up in boxes. I've got rid of at least 5 of them I've sold recently. To try to downsize. So I own a lot of handhelds, and this is not something that's like a flex. I'm definitely not proud of this. I'm actually quite embarrassed of all these handhelds I own. I do plan to downsize at some point and do like a mass giveaway to you guys, so stay tuned for that. But my point is that I'm fortunate enough to be in a position that I've play tested basically the majority of all the great handhelds on the market right now. And to me, in 2025, the one that stands out above the rest is this handheld right here, Anbernic's RG40XXH. So what makes the RG40XXH special? What separates it as my #1 recommended way to play retro games in 2025? And to answer that question, I have to show you this. So here I have my 10 pillars of an excellent handheld. And this is basically a checklist of 10 items that if a handheld can fulfill, it is an excellent handheld. And I believe the RG40XXH checks off this list better than anything else on the market right now. Let's get into it. Now I want to start this section off not with the display, but actually with the price, because the price really determines if you're even going to purchase this thing, right? If the price isn't right, we're not getting anywhere. And I think the 40XXH is priced really, really well. If we go to Anbernic's direct site, you can see this is listed for $69.99 normally. Right now they have a little discount, but it's $69.99 plus around $12 shipping depending where you live, right? So give or take around $80 to $85 for this handheld, right? And that price is really, really important because I think the magic of these handhelds is not in the expensive ones. I think it's in the budget ones, the ones under $100, the ones that give you the most amount of value for the least amount of money. And this is a perfect example of that, right? So yeah, around $82 to $85 if you shop from Anbernic Direct. But if you shop with the sponsor of this video, huge thank you to AliExpress, one of the best places to find some really great deals on these handhelds. So as you can see here, here's a welcome deal. This is for new users, $51.39. That's over $30 discount if you purchase from AliExpress. Here's another one. This is not a welcome deal. Open to everybody, $64.47, $55.88. You don't have to pay $85 or $82 for this handheld. You can pay a lot less if you shop with AliExpress. And this is one of the best places to get some discounts on this. They also have coupons all the time. They send them out like monthly and stuff, so you can save even more money. So you get more bang for your buck. So if you like this handheld and you think it's worth picking up, highly recommend you pick it up from AliExpress. So yeah, the price is right. Next, let's talk about this screen. I don't think anybody's gonna argue with me and tell me this screen isn't absolutely gorgeous. This is a 4-inch 640 by 480 IPS OCA laminated display with really good colors, really good viewing angles, very, very respectable brightness, a very respectable dimness. It's just a really, really solid panel. Look at that. It's like near black. So it's great for outdoor use, great for indoor use, nighttime, if you're playing games next to the wife or something. Very, very good panel. And very few handhelds actually have this display. Another handheld with this display is actually its vertical counterpart, the RG40XXV. This is great. It's around the same price as well. However, it just lacks a few features from the RG40XXH. And then we have the more expensive older handhelds like Anbernic's RG405M And this does have a 4-inch display. However, it's not the same quality as these. These are better panels, believe it or not, even though this handheld is almost 2 or 3 times more expensive than these handhelds. Because it is older, it does have like some sort of weird over sharpening effect on the display. It doesn't get as bright. It's the same resolution. It's like you're gonna have to pay more and you're getting a worse screen on this handheld for whatever reason. The displays on these newer handhelds, they just look really, really good. They're really sharp. No issues, no refresh rate issues, nothing like that. They're just really, really solid panels, and they're the most affordable 4-inch handhelds on the market right now. Now, what good is a great display without great sound quality to accompany it, right? Let's get ourselves a quick sound test. So yeah, great display and great sound experience. And now on to the controls. As you can see here, the RG40XXH has a standard membrane D-pad, really great action buttons in a Nintendo configuration. It also has Nintendo Joy-Con joysticks that do stick out a little bit, right? But they're very, very like shallow, still make the device very pocket friendly. You have a start and select under that right joystick, as you can see here. And then on the other side, you also have a menu button on the face of the device, which is really nice as well. Over on the top, we have stacked shoulder buttons. So it's very easy to differentiate between the two. They are a little bit clicky and they're completely digital, but they feel really good and they're nice and ergonomic to play on. Let's actually play a game so you guys can see these controls in action. So in like a game like Super Mario World where you have to hold 2 buttons at the same time, this handheld is great just because the buttons are the right size that you playing with 2 buttons is nice and comfortable. So you have a nice soft D-pad, has great pivot, and the buttons are pretty precise. The D-pad's pretty precise. It's actually the same D-pad that you'll find in the RG35XX Plus that I raved about in that review. So it's the exact same D-pad here, except it's in a horizontal form factor. And that's just the thing about this handheld. It delivers it all. It has perfect controls. It really does. These action buttons, they're nice and soft. They're not loud. They're in a Nintendo configuration. They're the right size. The D-pad has nice pivot, it's accurate, it's really soft, it feels good on the hands, it has just the right amount of pressure that you need to use. You also have joysticks, so these joysticks, they're Nintendo Joy-Con joysticks. They feel really good, they pivot well, you can use it as a substitute for a D-pad. So for example, in a game like this, or let's say you get tired of using the D-pad, you can actually use the joystick just fine. It works really, really well. With Newly, now we don't have like cardinal snapping. If you know what that is, basically like these used to behave kind of like a D-pad completely, but if you install like custom firmware, this can actually have full 360 motion. So it's really nice. I still think the cardinal snapping is important for certain games, but it's nice to, if you don't like that, we have an option that corrects that now, which is also nice. You also have 2 joysticks, so you can play like 3D games, right? Like you can use the left joystick for this and then the other one for camera movement, so you can play those like PC ports and stuff. You can also use the right joystick to use Nintendo DS stylus support and stuff like that, which is awesome. But yeah, the RG40XXH delivers it all into the controls department. You know, there's really nothing to complain about here. Everything is in the right place. It feels comfortable. Even the joysticks, right? Like the fact that this device is a little bit taller, there just gives you a little bit more room for your hands to rest on. And these joysticks are actually very, very comfortable to use. Unlike some other handhelds, or maybe something like this where the joysticks are just like right here. There's nothing to grip right here where your palm is when you put your fingers here. So this makes it really uncomfortable, right? Versus something like this, it just gives you just a little bit more room to play on. And I found this device to be very, very, very comfortable. Also, I just wanted to mention, after using a handheld like this with some ridiculously tall joysticks, I have a newfound appreciation for these Nintendo Joy-Con joysticks. The fact that they sit kind of low, it keeps the device like a slim profile. I really do appreciate this because this does make the device still pocket friendly, where something like this, those joysticks are gonna get snagged when you try to put this in your pocket. This is just a little bit easier to get into your pocket, and it's just a little bit less intrusive, makes the device just that much more portable. So yeah, in the controls department, this is a easy, great controls, really, really great controls. Which brings me to the build quality section of this video. And I don't think anybody's going to deny that Anbernic has some really, really good build quality. From the display itself, just like the little attention to detail, as you can see here, has a nice thin bezel around that matches the color of the console. It also has these nice little round corners that I really, really appreciate, because it just makes those little touches add to the device. I love that the screen is also glossy, so the screen pops just that much more. All the buttons feel really good. The joysticks themselves, they seem to source really, really good joysticks. They feel like the exact same ones from the Nintendo Switch. Even all the buttons on the top and the ports, everything looks symmetrical. The lighting here seems to pop really well. The thing's just really, really well designed. And I just really, really love the look of it and the feel of it. Now, just by comparison, I wanted to show off this handheld right here. This is the XU Mini, and it just has these like really sharp corners for the screen, and it just doesn't look like all that quality. Like, this is something I hate about this console. I just look at it and it just looks like cheap. Just the way the screen, like, so sharp, it looks like it can cut you or something. The plastic doesn't even feel that nice. It's kind of like, I don't know, gritty, where like Anbernic's plastic is just a notch above the handhelds like this. No offense to the company who makes this handheld, but they're just not at the level that Anbernic is, where their quality of their plastic, the grade of the plastic they use, is just a notch above. And I've had a lot of Anbernics in the past, and they always last. I've never had a single problem with any of them. Like maybe some little things here and there back in the day with some light bleed or something, but nothing that's really like a quality control issue. Usually Anbernic is really good with their quality control. So I'm going to say here, this handheld has very, very good build quality. Which brings me to my next section, great performance. Here I am playing GTA Vice City. This is a PC port. This is a perfect example of this thing's performance. As you can see, this thing plays phenomenally, really, really great. Look at this 3D game running exceptionally well on this handheld, and there's no lag. This is not emulated whatsoever. This is running natively on the console, which is absolutely nuts. So this is just an example of this processor's power. This thing has the H700, and it's an excellent processor for these handhelds because it just runs really, really well. Perfect up to PS1. You get PSP, you get Nintendo 64, Dreamcast. A lot of those libraries work really well on this handheld. Even N64 plays very, very good on this processor as well. The new generation of these handhelds, the reason there's so many of these XX handhelds is because the H700 is just such a great processor. So great performance. This easily checks off this box for me. Up next is great battery life. What good is a handheld if it's always dead, right? And this handheld has some really, really good battery life. Despite having a 4-inch display and RGB rings, which you can actually turn off, you can get a solid 6 hours of gameplay on the high-end stuff. On the lower-end stuff, you can get 8 to 10 hours easily. I even did one test just playing Stardew Valley on this thing, right? And I got 8 hours straight on this device, 8 hours playing Stardew Valley. Now, if that lets you know anything about the battery life of this thing, it is very, very good. Especially if you want to play some lower end stuff like Game Boy Advance, you're going to get maybe 10, maybe 11 hours on this thing easily. So great battery life, checks off that box for me as well. Another thing this handheld has is great features. With just a separate Bluetooth controller and an HDMI cable like this, a mini HDMI to regular HDMI, you can turn this handheld into a dedicated console. All you have to do is plug in the HDMI cable to your TV and then back to your console, and then pair your Bluetooth controller and change the settings to the controller player one, and you can have a full dedicated console experience. Aside from that, we also have Wi-Fi, so we can do things like scrape beautiful box art, as you can see here. We can also stream our PC games to this thing. We can do over-the-air updates if you're on something like this. We can download themes. We can do a lot of cool things with Wi-Fi. We can also do retro achievements, if you know what that is, which is really, really cool. A lot of nice features. You even get features like Rumble, like this game, Drill Dozer for the Game Boy Advance, or it's primarily a rumble game, you can hear and feel this thing rumble in your hands, which is just so cool. So yeah, this thing is just really fully loaded, HDMI, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, rumble, basically the works. You get everything here with the RG40XXV. Next, it's really comfortable. As you can see, this thing's kind of shaped like almost like a PSP Go, like where it's kind of round. It does push your hands out a little bit. It's just a very comfortable device. And no, it doesn't have no grips on the back, but that is good for like pocketability. So that's kind of one of the things I like about it. Just the shape of it, the form factor. It's horizontal, so it's just like the screen's in the center with your controls on the outside. You have plenty of space to put your hands on the back, and it just feels really good to play on. Very comfortable device. Even for long play sessions, this thing is great. Portable and pocket friendly. And while this thing is very comfortable, it is also still very portable and pocket friendly. Now, I know a lot of people say that the perfect handheld is the Steam Deck. And I'd argue that device is way too big to take anywhere. Now this, on the other hand, is a 4-inch screen, has a big display, yet it's still small enough, compact enough to carry it with you. Here's a little size comparison. This is an iPhone 14, and you can just see that the 40XXH is literally the same size as a modern day smartphone. Putting them side by side, you can see that they're almost the same size. You can see this is going to fit in your pocket very nicely. One of the things too that this is advertised as is being very slim. As you can see, this thing has a very sleek and thin profile. The sticks do protrude a little bit, and the shoulder buttons. However, the device still is small enough and thin enough that it doesn't really bother you in your pocket. And now let's do a quick pocket test. So this is the device. Here's my front pocket. And boom, you can see it fits nicely in there. Are you happy to see me, or is this just your RG40XXH, right? It fits really good. I mean, like, come on guys. We have phones that are bigger than this, and it still fits very nicely into some regular jeans, right? Let's try back pocket. Boom. So while it's not the smallest handheld around, right? I think it's a good like Goldilocks handheld. Like, it's not too small, but it's not too big that it doesn't fit in your pocket. But it's basically the right size that you get the best play experience, yet it's still very portable. So I'd say this is very portable and pocket friendly. And now on to the last section. Great software. Now, as I've been showcasing in this video, this is custom firmware. This is newly Firefly on the 40XXH, but right out of the box, you will find a software experience that is very easy to use, very easy to navigate. In here, you'll find game rooms where you can pick the system you want to play and then pick the game you want to play. Everything's pre-scraped, a bunch of great games in here. I will mention that certain games that you may want to play, like our favorite Plumber is not here, and even the Pokemon series is not here. A lot of those great Nintendo titles you've come to love are probably not going to be on the stock software, but there is a great collection of other games in here. I'll just quickly scroll through here so you can see what kind of games you get right out of the box with the stock software. The stock software also has some nice features as well. You do get a music player, a video player, ebook reader, a file manager. You even get apps, which you can do a bunch of nice things, like change some really cool settings. You can turn the power LED off if this bothers you. You can set your hotkeys. You can change shaders. You can make the font bigger on the display if it's a little bit too small for your eyes. So just like that, I made the font just a little bit easier on the eyes. A lot of nice things that Anbernic has added, and they've really polished it up over some time. Just update after update, just keep improving and improving the stock experience. You even have settings in here to change your LEDs. You can change them from on and off. You can change the modes. You can do always. You can do breathing. You can do RGB like this rainbow. Just a lot of cool stuff you can do with the stock software. And one of the best things about the stock is that it just works. Everything just works. With like experimental, a community made software, sometimes not everything is completely ironed out, even though it's getting better every day. The stock software is great, but if you want to have the best experience possible, you want to have some sort of custom firmware. So this is newly Firefly. You also have MIUI. You can do MinUI. There's a bunch of great options out there. If you want to take this thing to the next level where you can have things like ports, where you can play PC games on this thing, or even nice, beautiful scraped box art with nice themes like this, or you just have an overall better experience with your handheld, you do want to install some sort of custom firmware on this thing. But that's not to say that the out-of-the-box experience is not great as it is. Finally, the last thing I want to mention is that about the software. This software is installed on branded SD cards. We finally got some reliable SD cards in here. This is Kioxia. This is a subsidiary brand of Toshiba. So they are branded SD cards and they are more reliable than what they used to use in the past. So we're not going to have any issues of like, you know, you're going to get your device bricked in the future, because that's what used to happen with these. And that's not the case anymore. So I'm really happy to see Anbernic has taken this route and just improved the overall user experience. So no matter which way you go, either the right out of the box experience, or if you want to take it just one step further and install some custom firmware, the software here on this device is very good. So great software. So as you can see, this handheld fulfills this list like no other handheld on the market. It has a brilliant 4-inch display, bigger than a lot of handhelds. It's a great form factor, has some of the best controls. You get everything here. D-pad, dual joysticks, great action buttons, stack shoulder buttons, stereo sound, a menu button that's right on the face, enough performance to even play ports, great battery life, at least 6 hours on the demanding stuff, 8 to 10 hours on the heavy stuff. Great features, HDMI out, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, rumble, everything. It's comfortable, it's still pocket friendly, and it's a good size. You get great software right out of the box. You even got a bunch of great custom firmware options if you want to take that route, and all this at an amazing price, and an even better price if you get it from AliExpress. So that's gonna wrap up this video. I finally wanted to answer this question. I know I get this question a lot, you know, if I only had to recommend one device, right? I know I picked my favorites in my last video, but if I only had to choose one, which one would I recommend? And that's the RG40XXH. It does so many things right. There's so much to love about this device. You get an unbelievable amount of value out of something like this. And to me, this is the definitive best way to play retro games in 2025. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you disagree with me? Do you disagree with my choice? Is there a better handheld than the RG40XXH that you would recommend to somebody else? Because to me, I don't think there is. Everything this device offers, there's no other device on the market that can even compete with this, with the amount of value this is currently delivering right now. But you guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Javi, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.